Matt Carpenter, who is the director of FRC Action. We've got a lot of political activity going on as well. Matt, thank you for taking some time and for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jody. Great to be with you.
All right. While we're waiting on Congressman Burchett, let me throw a couple of things out to you from the political world that maybe we'll be able to get some answers to. Some interesting polling information coming out right now that's grabbing a lot of attention. Why don't you kind of give us the 30,000-foot perspective of what's going on?
Yeah, there's been a lot that's been made of kind of how the Democrats are navigating this new environment they find themselves in, shut out essentially of any kind of true governing position here in Washington, D.C. They do have enough senators in the Senate to block legislation there. But NBC News came out with a poll recently asking voters, how do you feel about the two political parties, the Republicans and the Democrats? It's worth noting that NBC News typically is a pollster that's going to produce results favorable towards the left. They've never really produced results that have favored the right, and so that's something to kind of consider here when you've taken into consideration that they've discovered that just 7% of voters feel very strongly that the Democratic Party is moving in the right direction. In fact, 55% of Americans have a negative view of the Democratic Party, including 38% who feel very negatively about them. Those are just astonishing numbers. Frankly, they're in a tough spot. They're leaderless. They're shut out, and they've got a tough hill to climb here, Jody.
So what is responsible for all of this? I mean, a lot of things come to my mind, but you keep a pretty good pulse on this. What is it that the American people are saying, do you think, to the Democratic Party? Why such a negative outlook on them?
Well, I think back to the campaign, they spent a lot of time using a lot of ugly words and smearing their opponents, tearing them down. The word fascist came out at the end there, just a really ugly discourse. They tried to smear their political opponents as authoritarian. They've raised the specter that our representative form of government, they've said democracy is at risk over and over again. So they've now found themselves in this position of, do we try to be a part of governing the country seriously? And that includes compromise. Or do we allay the concerns of our base and play to this small segment of the American population that expects us to obstruct and deny and throw our hands in the air? They're in a tough spot. And unfortunately, I think for them, they've blown past a lot of the off-ramps to essentially do that, and they're playing up to their base now. They're digging in, and they're going to be this obstructionist element here. And so I think that's going to pay dividends for them with this small segment of their base, but I think it's going to complicate their efforts to tack back to the center and to play to the swing vote.
Very, very interesting. Matt Carpenter, I appreciate so much you coming on and breaking some of this down. It's really fascinating. I don't recall a time like this when the Democratic Party has been hurting so much. But thank you for joining us on Washington Watch.